I'm Tawana Roebuck. I'm the director of ESR, known as Experiment in Self-Reliance, throughout the community. We've been around since 1964. I wasn't there in 64, but the agency was there serving the public. It's great to see everyone.
It is.
So, if others could share who they are so we can be reminded.
I'm Charlene Gooms. I am an assistant with the City Attorney's Office.
My name is Leon McCullough.
Pamela Corbett here, Winston-Salem, private practice, psychology.
And I am Beverly Carter-Levy. Ms. Roebuck, I think I've seen you several times. I'm the Assistant Director of Property Management for the Housing Authority. So I think I've seen you at several meetings and community activities and everything, and dealing with ESR with the Housing Authority. But how are you? I think you're on mute.
She's on mute.
Thank you. I was just saying thank you. Great to see you. Thank you. There are others in the group?
Hey, this is Michael Riker.
Hi, Michael.
I work at Wake Forest. I'm the chair of academic nursing, so I'm in charge of the nursing educational programs there. And this is my last meeting of this fine board. I'm on the last meeting of my last term. So since we got a minute, I'll take the opportunity to say thank you to all of you. It's been really interesting, wonderful 6 years, I guess. It's been, wow. It's been great to interact with you all, and I really appreciate the friendship and the professionalism, and I think that we've done some great things. It's been great serving the city in this way. So it's really nice working with you all.
Great. Thank you, Michael, for your service on the board. I'm sorry, I'm just getting to know you. Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
There are others?
Kathy McLean. I teach at the Winston-Salem Street School.
Great. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I am Brittany Spees. I'm an assistant federal public defender in the Middle District of North Carolina at the Winston-Salem office.
Great. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Mike Fraden. I'm an attorney here in Winston-Salem.
Great. Great. Thank you.
Theo Chun, Associate Director for Student Development and Engagement at Winston-Salem State University.
Great. Thank you. It's a pleasure meeting you, Theo.
Matt Gomez, I'm a captain with the Winston-Salem Police Department. So thank you guys for serving on this board.
Thank you.
Division.
Thank you, Manny. Yes? Ms. Keisha?
I'm Takesha Red, and I am an assistant city attorney here for the city of Winston-Salem.
Yes.
Great. We have a number of attorneys on this group. I know who to call. Yes. Did we get everyone? Great. Thank you. Ms. Keisha, perhaps we could reach out and let our chair know that we're all in our places.
Yes, let me try to do that. Make sure that, I know he had requested that we send him the link, so let me make sure he's not having any trouble logging in.
Great. Thank you. Miss Beverly, I see your name just popped up. We took the moment to introduce ourselves to each other. I also see someone present from, hi, oh yeah, Beverly, okay, I see you. You did do that, thank you. Sorry.
Yeah.
All right. WSTV, I guess you're recording. Great. Thank you. Thank you. I'll try to be polite and not say anything rude. Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Pamela, I'm sure there's some therapeutic thing relating to the fact that I just can't sit still in quietness.
I think you're showing great leadership. So my hat is off to you. So are we waiting on Angela or what? Where are we?
Now we're waiting on Chairman Bruton.
Is Angela with us?
Angela is not here with us today, and it's Takesha Red.
I am here, but as the advisor, and I'm trying to get a hold of Mr. Burton to call the meeting to order because, as you recall, at the last meeting, the pleasure of the group or the vote of the group was to have you serve as vice chair in the event that he's not here. So that's why I'm trying to find out where he is, and his line is busy. So I'm going to put myself on mute and give him a call right now.
And who's the vice chair? Who is the vice chair?
It would be you.
What? No.
You, congratulations.
Well, because as you recall, during the last meeting, the nominating committee came back with the recommendation to have Mr. Burton serve and Mr. Riker serve. However, Mr. Riker was on deployment and we were not able to get in touch with him. And so the vote at the time was to have you, Ms. Corbett, serve as vice chair until we could get in touch with Mr. Riker to find out whether or not he would be interested. However, in checking the records, we realized that this is his last term, and so he would not be eligible to serve as vice chair, even if he wanted to, because of term limits. So that's why I'm trying to have you not be in the position of having to run this meeting right out of the gate. I'm trying to find Mr. Burton.
Well, I'll be happy to run it, but I want to see a transcript of that meeting.
Well, if you go to the city's YouTube page, the link is there. No, I'm just going. But if you feel comfortable doing that, we can do that. Otherwise, like I said, I can continue.
Doing, right?
That is what we're doing.
I will try to email him the link. That way he has it in case you get in touch with him. That way he'll have it ready by the time if you make contact with him.
Okay. I'm going to put myself on mute so I'm press and give him.
And this is Michael is our most experienced person here. he could model for us, or is that even legal for him to facilitate the meeting? Keisha?
She's on mute. She's trying to reach us.
Yeah, I was trying to reach him. What was your question?
Oh, I'm sorry. Never mind. Michael, you can help me out. How's that? All right. Well, so should I start the meeting or just wait to what you find out?
I think she's going to try to call Mr. Bruton right now to what she hears from him.
She's trying to coming on.
Okay, so I just got in touch with him, and he is actually not able to attend today, and he emailed Angela, but Angela's not here, so that's why I didn't get it, to let you all know that he wouldn't be here this evening. So we're just gonna have to go on without him this evening.
Well, okay then, we call a meeting to order. And I think the first order of business is to do the roll call.
Before we do that, I think it's just general principle. We have to make the statement that this meeting is being made and being attended virtually due to the Safer at Home order issued by the governor and the mayor's proclamation. So all members are attending virtually. So now we can go ahead and proceed with the roll call.
And we're being recorded.
Yes, and we are being recorded.
Right. Okay. So how do we do the roll call for this?
Pamela Corbett.
Here.
Leon McCullough.
Here.
Emma James. Brittany Spees.
Present.
Kathy McLean.
Here.
Michael Fraden.
I'm present.
Beverly Carter Levy. Tawana Robach.
Present.
Theodore Chun.
Present.
Michael Riker. He's here, but he's on mute. So does he need to say here, even though he's on mute and we know he's there?
No, we can go ahead.
Okay.
Have we covered everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Do we need a quorum and do we have a quorum?
Yes,
We do have a quorum.
Yes, we do.
Okay. So now the minutes of the meeting, which I probably should have reviewed, for January 21, for that meeting. Were there any additions or revisions for that, for those minutes? Do I hear a motion for them to be approved?
I'd like to make a motion for the minutes from the January 21st meeting be approved.
Okay.
Is there a second?
I second that motion.
Second.
Okay, thank you. And I should, at this point, probably should be asking if there are any other additions or corrections. There being none, how do we confirm that how people are voting? Do we do a roll call again or?
Yes.
Yes,
Charlene will do the roll
Yes,
call.
I'll do a roll call.
Okay, so if you go ahead and do the roll call on approving the minutes,
Okay, Pamela Corbett,
approve.
Leon McCullough,
Approve.
Emma James, Brittany Spees,
Approve.
Kathy McLean,
Approve.
Michael Fraden,
Approve.
Tawana Robach,
Approve.
Theodore Chun,
Approved.
Michael Riker. He's on mute.
Everybody?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, this is Beverly. I'm having some kind of delay on my phone. I don't know if you called my name out and I missed it, but I approve. I'm having some kind of delay on my phone.
Yeah.
Okay. Should we move on to the quarterly reports?
Yes.
Okay, guys. So this is Captain Manny Gomez of the Winston-Salem Police Department. As you guys know, I am the presenter from the Professional Standards Division. That's the division that I oversee. It's also known as the Internal Affairs. So I'm going to cover the citizen complaints first for the first quarter of the year of 2021. So in the first quarter, we received 2 formal citizen complaints. Those 2 formal citizen complaints are still open and being investigated. Those complaints consisted of the rules of conduct that are alleged to be violated are conduct unbecoming and dissemination of information. Again, those are open and still under investigation. So before I transition over to the internal departmental reports, does anybody have any questions about the citizen complaints? Okay. With the internal or departmental reports for the first quarter, we have so far a total of 5. With that, we had 1 that was sustained. As far as allegations from those 5, we had a total of 8 allegations that stem from those 5 complaints. 1 of them was sustained and 7 are still open or under investigation. Those allegations or the rules of conduct that are alleged to have been violated are conduct unbecoming, departmental directives, insubordination, conformance to laws, unsatisfactory performance, truthfulness, and operation of motor vehicles. So the one that's sustained is actually the operation of vehicles. Does anyone have any question related to the internal complaints?
I have one question. So
Yes, ma'am.
from any unresolved complaints from previous year, how do we find out about those?
So we can go back and get the information if you guys want the information. I'd have to check just to make sure, but So we report now, obviously on the closed and non-closed, but this information we can go back and gather the information. So I'm trying to convey, I'm sorry.
I'm just wondering, as an advisory board, have we continued to look at those that continue to be open and or are problematic? Do we get any kind of report about those? And maybe we don't normally. Perhaps, Michael, you could speak to that because you have more experience on this board.
Yeah, I'd say that usually because we're just reporting out the numbers and we don't really get the substance of the individual complaints, I think we haven't necessarily gone back to those, because the ones that would be kind of continuing on or unresolved, I think probably would tend to end up at the board. But no, we've not in the past ever kind of looked into specifics of ongoing or non-closed complaints.
Okay.
I have a question. So how long does the non-closed complaints stay in that incomplete status? Is there some point where after a period of time there's closure, or how will we know that it's, is it still pending or is it closure? How do we know?
Right, so essentially we get complaints that come in. So the short answer to your question is that all complaints come to a resolution at some point. It varies depending on the complexity of the allegations that are made and the complexity of the investigation itself. So just to kind of give you an example, some of these reports, by the time that the investigator documents all the information, they're akin to a short novel, if you will. So you're looking at 80, 90 pages typed, and that unfortunately does not happen rather quickly as they're doing the investigation. So it's a lot of documentation that's necessary. We keep the citizen that files the complaints apprised of the process. We send them letters to let them know where we are in the process of their investigation, continually keeping them informed. And then at the closure of their complaint, we send them a closure letter, making them aware of what we found during the investigation. And that letter is actually a letter from the chief of police. So the citizen that files a complaint is always made aware as to the closure for their case, so they can proceed with. If they're not satisfied with the resolution of their case, they can appeal it to essentially you guys, the Citizens Police Review Board.
I am new to this process and new to this committee. If we keep the person that has listed the complaint updated, seems like at some point as a body, we could learn what the closure was. I'm not necessarily interested in an 80-page review in as much as when it's completed and you send the complainant a statement from the police department, perhaps we could be made aware that it is closed and the person has been informed.
And I think how that is accomplished, ma'am, is so the first quarter reports, as we transition through the year, when you transition into the second quarter reporting, you will see those numbers start showing up as closures within this report. It is very early on in the year for you to get those stats, but as we progress through the year, you'll see the closures. You'll see some that remain open, and those are probably the ones that are a little bit more complex and require more time for the investigator to investigate and get it through, just because of the complexity and thoroughness of the investigations that we conduct. They are rather lengthy investigations. But as if you continue to monitor the report as we progress through the year, that should answer some of your questions.
I appreciate your statement, and that does make sense. So yes, thank you.
You know, I think your question is also getting to something else, which is we review these every 3 months, these numbers. And I'm curious if we could talk a little bit about, or I'd like a better understanding of what is the purpose of us getting this report? Is there, what value can we add by reviewing it? Or what value have we added by reviewing it? Can anybody speak to that?
I think from the departmental perspective, it's part of the process to keep you guys aware, since you guys are providing or reviewing this information. Although some of this information is protected personnel information, the statistics themselves, we provide them to you guys and you guys are aware. And then you guys review the information once a citizen is not content with our findings, and then that appeal comes to you guys. So as a part of oversight, you guys see the numbers and you guys see what's kind of coming through our office. And then when we have an appeal, you guys have an understanding of what we've looked at, and you can compare that to the number of appellants that come your way.
Well, one of the things I don't think we get is any trend information. Like, how does this compare to last year? Are the numbers going up? Are they going down? And I don't feel like I have any real way of evaluating what I'm looking at here.
But if I may, Captain Gomez, these reports are provided to you in your meeting packet prior to every meeting. So say, for example, and then at the end of the year, or the last quarter, so I would imagine that would have been the November meeting, there was actually a pretty lengthy discussion about how the time periods overlapped. And then there were very few to review in January and few to review in April. And so if you wanted to track that over time, you could go back and review your previous packets, because it'll show you when it was reported and when it was closed. So I think what you're seeing is the fact that we're now rolling over into another year. And so statistically, what you have before you doesn't really show anything. But if you go back and look historically at what we reviewed in November and what we reviewed in January, you'll see a more fuller picture of what came before the review board in terms of statistics and numbers over time.
That is true. I could do that. Okay. Any other thoughts or questions? There being none.
And this is just an information item, so there's not a vote needed on that.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Gomez. Then we have review of the revised rules and regulations. And I'm hoping that, Keisha, you're going to take charge of this discussion.
I am. In your meeting packet, we sent out both a redlined copy of the changes or revisions that are being made to the rules and regulations of the Citizens Police Review Board, and then as well as a clean copy, so that, because sometimes in reviewing them, it's a bit difficult to read them for content with all of the strike-throughs, but from a historical standpoint of seeing what is being changed, the strike-throughs are necessary. So that's why we provided both copies of those to you in your meeting packet to review. And I will say, not one of the largest changes is just to make revisions or tweaks, if you will, to kind of keep up with as articles or sections of the code had been changed or names have been changed. For example, there was a recent change where the city secretary was changed to city clerk's office. And so everywhere that city secretary appeared, it had to be updated to city clerk, and so forth and so on. So if you see that, and then that may have also required some of the numbering of the rules and regulations to change as well. I think in looking at it, I see here in section A, there was still a reference to the Board of Aldermen, and Winston-Salem has not had a Board of Aldermen since I think the mid-90s, early 2000s. So things like that are what has been changed. And as I said, you can go through and see how, if you're looking at the red line version, see how the minutes, have the rules and regulations have been revised over time.
Okay.
So if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Is there anything you would draw our attention to?
One question about the updates, if we could, which was that in the very last section, it talks about mailing and postmarking proposed amendments. And I was just wondering, in the interest of kind of modernizing our processes, is that still necessary? And that might be a higher order city committee rule, but is that something that maybe should be considered to be postmark or email, electronic delivery, since people might be preferring that method of delivery nowadays?
Michael, what section and what page are you referring to?
It's section H, amendment of rules and regulations. It's the very last paragraph in the in the document.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Where it said there shall be mailed and postmarked to each member at his residence at least 7 days prior to the meeting. That question I do not know, because I know we do provide them. We do provide them electronically, but in the event that there is a complaint that needs to be reviewed, I do not believe that information is submitted electronically. That information is mailed because it is under seal and it is confidential. And my best guess, and I can clarify this with Angela, but my best guess is that the minutes are written this way in contemplation of that. But as it relates to just regular meetings, agenda items, things like that, we do send those by email.
Okay.
And then also in recognizing and keeping with the fact that there is a bit of a digital divide, and some people are not technologically savvy, and some people just like receiving mail. There may be some members serving on the board from time to time who, for whatever reason, prefer hard copies. And so while the minutes say, while the regulations say that this is what's required, we certainly can send them out electronically as well. But I think that is why this is written that way.
Do we need to take any action?
Yes, you need to approve them, or if there are any other things that you see, any additions, but if not, otherwise they would need to be approved.
Any other observations or questions? Do I hear a motion for approval?
I'll move to approve.
This is Beverly. I'll make a motion that we approve the changes.
A second, Michael Riker.
Okay. Roll call.
Very much.
Sorry. Pamela Corbett,
Approve.
Leanne McCullough,
Approve.
Brittany Spees,
Approve.
Kathy McLean,
Approve.
Michael Fraden,
Approve.
Tawana Robart,
Approve.
Beverly Carter Levy,
Approved.
Theodore Chun,
Approved.
Michael Riker.
Approve.
Okay. Okay, so for new business, I only see one thing listed, setting our next date, July 15. Will that be online or in person, or do we know?
We do not know. My best guess is that it will be online, but as of right now, it's safest to say that it will be, and if there is a change and we do a meet in person, you all will be notified in advance.
Is there any other new business?
Madam Chairman, I have a question. A while back, we discussed at in the meeting concerning video cams. That we sent a proposal to Raleigh, but I have not heard any. What is the outcome of that? What happened? Anybody knows?
My understanding is that a bill has been introduced and it is sitting in committee.
Okay.
So once any piece of legislation is introduced or proposed, it is out of our hands until the folks in Raleigh decide whether it passes from chamber to chamber, whether it makes it out of committee, whether it gets a vote, or what happens to it. And so that's just the information that we have as of right now, that it's in committee.
Okay.
I have a question. Our next meeting is in July. Is there any communication sent to us to give us an update of actions that might be taking place or changes, either legislatively or within the city that we need to be aware of? I feel a sense of a void with limited information. I was real cognizant to read the stuff that you sent. But, you know, in between time, is there something we should know? Or I need to just be good with receiving it every 90 days?
Well, I want to say that the lack of information that you receive between meetings means that things are working the way that they are supposed to work, and there's not any information for us to send to you between meetings. So there really is not, because if there is some resolution on a case or pending case and someone files an appeal, then we will get that information and you will be receiving that information. But if not, these meetings typically tend to be just a report, any updates, changes to the minutes, technical corrections, things like that. And it's like we do work when we have work to do. But if the complaints are being resolved in a manner that citizens feel that they don't need to appeal, then that there is no appeal for the group to consider.
Cool beans. Okay, well, I don't want no extra work. I just thought if it was something I was missing.
No, ma'am.
That's wonderful.
I would add that Angela actually has probably communicated more with us in the last couple of months, especially around that last potential case that we might have had. In the I don't know, 2 years or 3 years that I've been on this committee, that's the most I've ever seen from anybody. So yeah, the absence of information or the absence of communication really is that nothing's happening.
Well, that's cool beans. I think I've been on this group, 90 days? So that was a good answer.
Oh, yeah. I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Because I actually been out of the loop for a little while because I've been sick. But I'm a whole lot better now. You remember the complaints that y'all sent us concerning Noble?
No, the number, yes, that is on hold.
Okay.
That particular appellant chose to not have his appeal heard virtually. And we advised him of that, and that with the stay-at-home orders and that with everything going on, that it would be well into 2021 before the panel would be able to assemble and review it in person. And he was fine with that. And so that was the decision that was made with respect to that appeal. I think it's appeal number 103, I think is the number that was assigned to it.
Okay.
But there is one order of new business that you all should consider between now and July 15th, should you want to. As I mentioned, in reviewing the roster, we realized that Dr. Riker is not eligible to serve. And so the nominating committee's charge to reach out to him and find out if he would be at this point is moot, because he's not able to continue serving on the committee because he's reached the end of his second term. And so the nominating committee at this point should, Ms. Corbett, should you decide not to continue on in the role of vice chair, because at the last meeting, the vote was that you would do it temporarily until we could get a decision from Dr. Riker. And so now that we know what Dr. Riker's situation is, that will need to be addressed. Who will serve as vice chair, or who is willing to serve as vice chair? And so I would just put a charge to the nominating committee to assemble and reach out to members to see if there is any interest in serving, who is interested in serving as vice chair. there will be an appointment of a new person to fulfill the spot. So there won't be an empty spot, but whoever fills Dr. Riker's spot, my guess will probably be even newer than the last new additions, and so probably would not be a suitable choice for serving as vice chair. So that's just something for the nominating committee to consider. That will give you something to do in the 3 months between now and when we meet again.
So that's our assignment.
Yes, that is the assignment.
So reminder, seems like I volunteered for something related to this.
It was you and Ms. Spees and Mr. Fraden who served as our nominating committee. And so I can reach out to you all after the meeting via email to kind of encapsulate the discussion that was had today and kind of give you some idea of how to proceed. And then you all can, take the list and divide and conquer and decide who you want to approach about serving as vice chair. Or if there is someone in this group who is interested in serving as vice chair, please identify yourself to the nominating committee, and hopefully y'all can get that resolved. And so that will be an item on the July meeting agenda.
Okay, so any other new business?
That's all I have.
Keisha, I do have a question.
Yes, sir.
It appears, I know this is my last year in my first appointment. How do I qualify for repeating on the committee, or how does that work?
Yes, you, sir, are eligible to be reappointed. So if you want to do that, the reappointments, I believe, are handled by the mayor's office. So if she hasn't already reached out to you, I think Linda Barnes is the person who's kind of in charge of that. If she hasn't already reached out to you, I can make sure that I let her know that you are interested in being reappointed, and then you won't have to do anything else.
All right, that works. Thank you.
Mr. Chen, are you indirectly saying that you want to serve as vice chair?
I am not saying that. I am not saying that. I am not at all.
I thought that's what I heard.
Okay, anything else? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
A second?
Second that motion.
I don't think we have to do a roll call, do we? Okay, we are adjourned. See you in a couple of months. Stay healthy.
Thank you.
Stay well.
Stay
Have a great night.